Time to talk about Facebook and social media again. Their technology chief will be quizzed by MPs today who are looking into the spread of fake news. Mike Schroepfer, I think you pronounce his name, will tell the committee the social network platform plans to make political advertising on the site much more transparent. The company last night reported profits of $5 billion for the first 3 months of the year. Nice money if you can get your hands on it. Dr. Kevin Curran is from the University of Ulster's Computer Science Research Institute. Kevin, it's not that that we have to have you in every day, but it's almost as if this is where the political debate, the economic debate, it's all increasingly focusing on social media, and I suppose that's almost a given, isn't it?
Yeah, technology is a core part of our being now, and social networks are, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on. We're connected to the world, and we're shown a lot of our material, a lot of our news comes from Facebook, again, and also the ads that we see are obviously paid for. And for years, obviously, political parties have to disclose what they pay, as in advertising on TV, radio, and in the media. Traditional media, but of course online ads went under this radar, and of course then that led to a lot of money being pumped into ads. And we've seen in the United States where there was claims that the Trump won because of Facebook. Now there's been reports by the New York Times into it saying that actually that the psychographic models used there on the social media were not that reliable, that it didn't play as much of a part as it did. But nonetheless, we all believe that we should be able to see what political parties spend online, who buys the ads, what ads that they do. And this is what Facebook are addressing, that they've promised that by the time that the elections happen in 2019, that now political ads will only be allowed if they're submitted by authenticated accounts. And then these such ads will be labelled as political, and it'll be made clear who paid for them. And then they're put into an archive for 7 years. And then we're able to see how many times they have been seen and how much money was spent on them.
And do you think they'll be good to the word, Kevin? Obviously people said in the lead up to the last big elections, Brexit and Trump, that Russia was involved and all the rest. I don't think, will we ever get to the bottom of that?
We know a lot of what happened, that there was fake accounts used and that they were Russian based. But Facebook will do this. But it's really like, it's like trying to stamp out moles that they're going to pop up all over the place. It's it's actually impossible to stop this, because even if these rules were in place, the ads which happened before would have still happened. You're able to have third parties which can focus on social issues like immigration and put up ads. And again, it's very hard to link them to political party.
I'll pick you as an example. I mean, a political party, not that they ever would, will go to you and say, Professor Curran, there's a few pound. Do we think about our party on Facebook for us next week and talk about how wonderful we are? I bet that kind of stuff goes on.
That's exactly. You create shell companies. You also pay for consultancy to you, and you do fake news stories all about me, positive about me, but also negative about the candidates I'm running against again. Very, very impossible to stop that.
But there's nothing new in the sense, you mean, that politicians would have been involved in corporate boards and pharmaceutical companies. It's just the social media equivalent of that, really, Kevin. But what do you imagine this will look like on Facebook? This is a political post paid for by the Labour Party. Will it be as blatant as that?
It will be. You'll be able to view ads button again. That they rolled out something in Canada. That's where they do that incrementally around the world. That you can see the ads which are paid for by which political party. And again, so it's just more transparent is what we want. Again, even the site, you go to Google, it tries to be transparent about what's an ad and what's a promoted link, and obviously what's a real search coming back, even though they're kind of mixed, to be honest. But again, it's just giving us that transparency, which is what we want, really. That we want to know. Again, I mean, they have to do something, and this is a start. It'll hold the main political parties more accountable again and more transparent. But again, it really will not stop, people trying to get around this by different ways and different means, through different payments, really, which, as you said, will go to these news sites which will promote stories that are in your favor.
But they'll never have a button, will they? I mean, I think Facebook make this very difficult about the personal settings and all the rest. I'm an idiot when it comes to this. I mean, younger colleagues here have to keep me right in terms of, doing the thing right and, having your settings the right way. But why don't they just have a button saying, no ads, yes, no. No politics, yes, no. And he can't do that. He needs his billions, doesn't he? He gets his billions from that nonsense.
Well, the point is, we do not pay for Facebook. It's free. So if you
but we're the product.
Exactly. So therefore, if you really dislike everything, don't go on Facebook. But of course, then we all make a judgment call and we realize actually the benefits outweigh it. We want to be connected, so we go on there. So until they charge us, until they open up, a charge for it where you can pay a monthly payment, then you will get ads. It's the only way that they, they're not doing it. They're not a charity. So
Would you pay for your Facebook?
I would.
What would you pay?
But again, that's it. Again,
Reasonably.
Would I go above 20 quid a month?
20 quid a month? 20 quid a year, Kev?
No. But again, see, therefore, straight away, when you bring in the charge, if most of the network goes away, because its power is in the network. So if I find my mum is off there, really, and some of the key people that I really want to keep contact with, well, then I could see where it wouldn't be worth it to me. But if you have 70% of the people under at the moment and they're all paying as well, well, then I will pay.
Stay in the gang.
Exactly. But of course, that's very difficult for them. But I think they will bring in some kind of model where they actually have to...
The herd mentality.
To do that. Now, there is, you can go into... They have made the way to see your settings easier. They are making it easier. I'm not saying it's the most obvious thing in the world, but you can go into settings and go into ads, and then you can see your information and also the ads that you're categorized for, and you can try to click on remove ones which you don't want, because it has remembered your clicks. It is a little bit easier to see.
You end up doing that all day. No, click off. No, click off, click off, click off.
Yeah.
You just spend all day doing that.
Yeah, and you can also turn off the 4 main things they have about you. What your sex is, are you married or not, what school you went to, and what your job is. Those are in there in your information. The little tab, you can turn that off again. But to be honest, most people wouldn't see that as the most, personally.
He's also said, this chap, the Facebook chap, they wanted Zuckerberg, but he wouldn't come. He said they will deploy a new view ads button in the UK by June of this year. Lets members see all the ads that any page is showing to users. Who's going to want to go on Facebook, Kevin, and push? Oh, I'd love more ads. Let me look at more ads here.
No, but again,
I want more puppies and kittens and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we're still there, and they've got a captive audience. The 40 billion revenue last year, they're valued at just about 500 billion market capitalization. They are one of the giants, the 5 giants of the internet.
Well, their economy is bigger than most countries now in the world. Kevin, peer into the future in the minute that I have, is Facebook the be all and end all? Because when he's got those algorithms and everybody held captive, because now, even if in 3 generations' time somebody invents something else, but sure, you have to go back to Granda's Facebook. Your life and mine has been documented personally and professionally on Facebook, and that can never change. So the more provenance they gain, the more value and commitment of human beings they'll have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you beat Facebook?
It's very difficult because they got 2 billion and they're heading to most of the planet, and it's very difficult for another media company to take over. However, they are not liking the new GDPR regulations being brought in by Europe. One of the things, it has a lot of things, but one of the key things about that is that companies have to make it easier to export the information in one app in the site so that it can be transported to other ones. And that's where you have this download your data and all that. Now, other sites will pop up, and the more Facebook have to add to that to make it transferable, then it's not that difficult for another website now to come along and actually get people somehow to export their material from Facebook, and they're up and running on the Facebook too. And now, more than ever before, it will be easier for us to move to a new platform.
Professor Kevin Curran, thank you. Kevin from the University of Ulster. Richard, on that note, it's back to you for the Radio Foyle.